What's happening, everybody? The Job Guys back with you again. That is Nick. This is Ryan, and we are here in January. Nick's giving it away right there. It is Royal Rumble season. That means it's the road to WrestleMania season. And my gosh, maybe Nick, everybody's now second favorite pay-per-view of the year. You don't know what's going to happen. You're building toward that WrestleMania, and the Rumble's just one of those matches that even after 30 some odd of these things, dude, it's still cool, man.
It's still real to me.
It might even be some people's favorite. Wouldn't you say? I mean, they're not throwaway title matches on this card anymore. The card is usually fairly decent. It could be terrible 10 years in a row. The 11th year, you're still like the Royal Rumble, man. You know, it's awesome. It's
sure
just
is
a cool, original event.
Absolutely. And here we are now in 2022. This sucker started back in 1988. That means there was a lot of good moments between these 35 years we've got going on. Been on pay-per-view, as you know, if you're watching this, since 1989. We have decided, also, if you can read, you clicked on this stupid thing, so you know what the title is. We are going to count down what we believe are the 10 best Royal Rumble moments of all time. Nick, this was not easy.
No. Lot
all
of
right.
good moments. I'm sorry. I didn't know I would have cut you off there, right? A lot of good moments. I mean, it really came down, and I was even texting you back and forth and saying, we're going to have to do some really big elimination here.
Yeah.
And me and you even had a few that, like maybe you wanted this one, I wanted that. It was tough, man.
It really was, and we were dead on with a few of them, and we will give you our 10, kind of our combination of what we think, and then we do have also some very close honorable mentions. But let's get going. We've wasted too much time. Jump right into it. Number 10, and Nick, it comes from the very first Royal Rumble pay-per-view of all time. It is the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, buying number 30. Take it away.
I got to give it to him first. He is the first, 3 or 4 Royal Rumbles, isn't he, Slow? It's all about DiBiase.
Yeah.
And in the year before, he had been in, I think he did the contract signing, right, with Hogan. That was the big thing.
Andre,
and then the next year he'll set the
title off. Yes.
Next year he'll set the record. But this year, of course, the sleaze has to cheat, has to buy number 30. He's the rich guy. He rigs it, and he goes in the back. I think after he draws, he gets out there and looks at his number, a bit panicked, and Slick.
He does the when he pulls it out.
Yeah, and he goes to Slick, and you spend the rest of the night because Slick's managing a few people in this Rumble, and as those dudes come out, was that DiBiase's number? Was he supposed to be out? And then it keeps ticking and ticking and ticking. And sure enough, you know it's coming. He bought number 30. His maybe first, or this is the second attempt to buy the title, if you will, to get maybe a title shot from this match, because it was just a match. But
right. I
thought it was a cool moment for that point right there. To stop when he bought the number.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I can't remember exactly if in 88 they showed the guys drawing the numbers or not. On this one, they did. They took a whole segment and showed people drawing their number. You mentioned it. And the big tumbler, DiBiase pulls it out, double takes. And Slick, come here. And I love this by Slick. Are you happy with your draws? And he goes,
hey, man, exactly.
I love that word. But anyway, DiBiase, after the year before, the whole trying to buy the title, then he's fighting, he loses at Mania. He's fighting Macho throughout the year. This is them kind of putting him back on that main dude level type of thing, or at least keeping him there. Hey, this guy's still a player, even though he failed to win the belt. Hogan and Macho are going to fight for the belt now. We are still keeping this dude way up high. This whole Rumble built around him. And then the next year, he's number 1. and he has to run 45 minutes. So, yeah, they really kept him strong here. But
in the
showing
ensuing
again.
year, he's in, I think, a tag match, isn't he, with the Rhodes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yes,
when he and
Virgil
matches,
break up.
Virgil break, which is huge.
Yep.
This is his Rumble. He deserves that 30 spot because he can afford it. And everyone's got a price, Ryan.
And, of course,
Slick.
Yep. Everybody's got that price. So you're still wondering, oh, maybe this guy can buy the type. Maybe he can do what he says he's going to do. Heels do. Yes, they can say whatever, but every now and again, they have to do what they say they're going to do to keep that thought in your mind. Love that from 1989. That is number 10. Let's keep it old school, Nick, because, well, that's kind of what we do here. Number 9 comes from 1991. Number 18 doesn't come out. Turns out to be the Macho Man coming through the curtain. Buzzer hits. You see like an arm in the curtain move. But then nothing. We'd never seen this before. This was only the 4th Royal Rumble, so it was kind of 4th, 3rd on pay-per-view. So, yeah, you could still do fresh stuff. But this entire show, we've talked about it before. This is one of the most underrated shows ever.
It's a great show.
First of all, the Gulf War had just started the Wednesday before this pay-per-view. So you had the whole USA theme and all this. Sergeant Slaughter, the turncoat, the Iraqi sympathizer, is fighting for the world title against the Ultimate Warrior.
And he matched no one. Not even the creative team thought he was winning. No one thought this dude was winning.
Nobody thought this dude was winning. To the point where throughout the night, they're trying to decide who the Warriors' next challenger is going to be because, well, he's going to beat Slaughter. So Macho says it should be him. Warrior comes out for an interview. With Sherry is out there. Sherry is begging him, please give Macho a title shot. He screams in her face, no! Right. And then Macho throws a fit. Macho then costs Warrior the world championship.
Live round.
Against Slaughter. Scepter over the head. Dang it. Obviously, Warrior's pissed. He just lost his belt. How does he get him back?
Bite a kneecap off.
He doesn't let number 18 come to the ring. Now, we didn't know it was Macho until number 30, obviously. And we're like, oh, that means Macho didn't come out. And then they kind of hint, maybe the Warrior got him. And they screwed this up years later and where you had 2 minutes to get to the ring. If you didn't enter that ring before the next guy came out, you're out.
This is where they stated it.
Yes.
They stated it. Piper, I believe it's Piper, isn't it, doing the commentary?
Yep, Piper and Gorilla.
Piper and Gorilla, they stated. And that it was so cool. And, of course, Gorilla. You know, somebody could have been back there watching it, and when it came to their turn, they said, no, thank you.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know.
You didn't know. And it was cool because as the numbers, remember, in these earlier Rumbles, they did these, I don't want to say vignettes, but they introduced everybody that was in it. You know, the Warrior, the Warlord, the Hart Founder, or Bret Hart, Jim Knight. Yeah. And so you're kind of clicking back in your head.
Who could it be?
Who's this is guy, this is out, this is out. And finally it ticks up and you're like, holy crap. When the Warrior ran out of the ring after that match, he never stopped chasing Savage. For all we know, they're still running down Route 66 or wherever the hell they're on.
And watch how the normals run as they bleed.
It was so crazy. And the announcers sold it great, too.
As they always used to do.
They didn't overdo it, but they didn't underdo it either. They made it very important. And when you realized it was Macho, it made perfect sense.
Yep, absolutely. It sure did. And again, this show, maybe the first show, I think, in their history where it was even the show was a story. It wasn't just matches. The story weaved in and out of every single match throughout the night. An amazing night. And of course, that set up the retirement match, the most overrated match in wrestling history at WrestleMania number 7.
You sure, Ryan?
Still can be good and be overrated.
He's an idiot.
Moving on, number 8, Nick. Man, there were so many of them. We had a hard time narrowing down just the one, but we are just going to go with the record eliminations and amazing performances throughout the years. And we're talking about who threw out the most dudes, beginning 1994 with Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
In this, we kind of threw this up because depending on your age group, whoever threw out the most is kind of just relevant to you. I mean, 7 and 94 was nuts. Diesel, it seemed, if you would have asked me after it, I would have told you he threw out 15. Right. You know, I mean, it felt like he cleared that ring. It was a huge push. Hadn't seen it before.
Announcers sold it.
Announcers sold it. And to me, he gets the big one vote for me because that's the big one I remember. The first time I saw someone dominate. But, I mean, we gave number 8 dominant performances. Roman Reigns in 2020.
That's a big one because they
12 dudes.
You could tell they were making him the next guy, and the crowd wanted him because of the whole Daniel Bryan Batista thing.
I'm sorry, 2014.
That stands out to me, too, along with Diesel.
Yes, that stands out. And what about the unforgotten one? 1989. Hulk Hogan, 10 dudes. 10 dudes he throws out. Who knew? I didn't know either, man. It was crazy. And we're Hulkamaniacs, man.
There's no Hulkamaniacs here.
Me and you weren't super big fans of the record being set, but it is a huge moment. Brock Lesnar, 13.
Yeah. Well, and the way they did that, too, because that one was a little different. He just kept throwing dudes out, and he was all alone in the ring.
Yep. That's right. Number 8, dominant performances, right? These are moments you don't forget. Like, I can still see Lesnar. I can still see Big Daddy Cool. When I look back, I can still now think about, oh, my God, Hogan. Yep. I see these moments. Roman Reigns going nuts. Yeah. And I'll give a hats off, too, to Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair, 2020.
Yes.
Tied. They are now the ladies' record holder at 8 apiece in that Rumble. Between the two of them, there's not many more people left. That's 16, 18 people right there.
Roman, I'll never forget. I already explained, and same with Lesnar. That is a memorable moment because he was first dude out there, and he's just tossing guys out. He's one after the other until the middle of the match.
Right.
Until Drew came out.
I mean, dude, he's number 1 in 13 as he gets out. So you're on dude 15 when someone comes in, man. Halfway through the dang Rumble, he's just torching guys and throwing them out of this ring.
Yep.
Dominant performances by all the – and I would argue for a lot of these guys now, Lesnar has a ton of moments. Hogan has a ton. But, you know, for guys in their career like Roman and Diesel, these were major moments to me. And I think even for Bianca – and Baszler, you know, those are huge moments.
Baszler hasn't gotten up since. And that's Bianca, true. Obviously, that was the start of her. And then she won the next year. And
big moments.
All right, here's another big one. And I know you love this one, Nick, at number 7. Now, he came back a couple of years later during that Brock Lesnar Royal Rumble after 9 years. Well, let's go back all the way to 2010. Edge returns from the Achilles injury. Nick, that is number 7.
You were with me, weren't you?
Yeah, at your house in Orlando.
And you were a little bit more privy to all this stuff. I was not in that he was coming back early. You know, I know there was some stuff a little bit that he might be there.
Maybe.
It was out there. It just blew me away. I thought that was so freaking cool. The play, an Edge it was a great Final 4. And Edge's just adds to these last dudes. I mean, even up until Final 5 or 6, I think Jericho's still in that ring. Yep. You've got, I think, Batista draws 30.
Yep.
HBK was almost going coast to coast again, wasn't he? Drew like 2 or 3 or something,
yes,
maybe or something.
That's the one he gets thrown out and he's like about to cry.
Yeah, because his last shot or something.
That's
Cena is still in there, but I mean the Final 4: Cena, HBK, Batista, Edge.
That's nice.
There's another Final 4, but if it's not this one, it's that one. There's 2 Final 4s in Royal Rumble history that I think are the greatest, and they're these 2.
That's a pretty good one.
Edge comes out and the place freaking goes nuts. Returns early. I popped in my own house. I was like, holy crap, Edge.
I almost soiled myself.
They made the point. I think the coolest thing, every superstar in this ring has main evented WrestleMania. It became huge. And Edge, he takes them out. I mean, I think Batista takes out HBK, right? Leaving the three of them in. Oh, man, why am I locking
Cena,
on
he
that?
throws out Cena to win.
Cena to win. That, right. I was right. And I just thought it was a cool moment because it was shocking. I guess the internet people maybe have known, but it was cool for me because I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, and there are rumors, just like, could he come back like everybody at Royal Rumble? Like, oh, maybe he could come back, but he had an Achilles tear in the summer, and that's a big injury. That takes like 9 months at least to come back.
Jericho,
and you
right?
can tell maybe he came back a little early because he is not in shape. He's bigger than he was. He wasn't because he was so skinny. And here you could tell, okay, his cardio was down a little bit. So maybe he came back a hair early, but it was awesome, man. He comes in at 29, wins the sucker, and then goes on to WrestleMania 26 and where he fights Jericho there. But yeah, I take that return over the other one because the latest one here a couple of years ago in Houston, I did know that was going to happen. You were hearing things that, and I'm like, yeah, that's going to be the big surprise. So I didn't know he was going to win. As that was,
yeah, it was great. It was awesome, right. And that's part of the mystique of the Rumble.
Oh yeah,
who's coming out of that curtain?
Here's one that kind of maybe sort of got out there, but nobody was exactly sure just yet. Coming in at number 6, Nick, you were in attendance. 2016, the phenomenal AJ Styles makes his WWE, I guess not debut, but debut here at the Royal Rumble number 3.
It was really cool. I wasn't even sure I wanted to go because I don't know if everybody remembers, that was the year where everybody got hurt.
Yes.
Going into and you knew freaking Triple H is going to win this thing.
Yep. Because the belt was on the line again.
Roman was forced to defend. I think he was champion. Yeah, he was champion. And he had to go, he had to start at 1. And I'm like, my crap, and so but I've never been to a Rumble. So I said, you know what?
We're coming for you.
Let me just go. It's here in Orlando, 15 minutes from me. Roman starts out, and they're going, and he's versus Rusev. And he tosses Rusev out, and he's sitting there, and music hits. And it's weird when you're not there, when you're there versus home, because the announcers can get it to you quicker at home. There's a delay with everybody's like, who?
What is this?
Who is this dude? And I will tell you, though, when we all seen the hood, I remember looking to my right, and the dudes are looking the same at me, like, is this Mr. Impact Wrestling, AJ Styles? I mean, this was at this point in time. This is as big as you can get from one dude in a company moving to another company, right? There is no WCW anymore. So this was, to me, the guy that built TNA, Mr. TNA, Mr. Impact, and he came through that thing. And the place goes nuts. I start going nuts. I had a little kid next to me going, who is he? And I'm like, oh, no, AJ Styles. And of course, I'm like, calm down. He's looking. No, AJ Styles.
He hasn't gotten up since that kid.
Yeah. And it was just awesome. I think he goes close to 30 minutes, eliminates 2 guys. It was just an awesome experience. And I was shocked that's how they were going to debut him. You're going to do it in the Rumble. Well, it better be good. And it was 30 minutes, 2 limbs. I'll take it for a debut.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could be wrong here, Nick, but they kept the shot on Roman's face.
Yes,
while
they did.
The intro to the
camera,
music was playing, and he's doing like, well, who was it? And then the crowd pops. I think before even the hood, because I assume the screen said phenomenal. And the place is, okay, we know who this is, But what a month here, because he left TNA and went to New Japan. And he had been in New Japan, and he's really what got that Bullet Club going, man. He goes over there. He wins the belt, and he was coming off at Wrestle Kingdom, a match against Shinsuke that really got New Japan on my radar because there were people I didn't even know watched wrestling that were like, dude, have you seen this Shinsuke AJ match? I'm like, who's Shinsuke? What are you talking about? I had no idea. But, I mean, people are like, no, you got to see this. This match is amazing.
Straight cash, homie.
Well, then it comes out like a week or so later that the Good Brothers and AJ put in their, 2 weeks notice or whatever. They said they were leaving that day at Wrestle Kingdom, January 4th. So like, okay, AJ's coming back. And apparently he had agreed to a deal with TNA. He was coming back to TNA. Yep. And I don't know what happened or how it happened, but something happened where WWE said, no, sir.
I think that happened, Ryan.
Dibiase bought him. He was bought off.
He's been bought off by Dibiase.
Something came out that it was like, okay, he might be there tomorrow. And and then he was. So it was still awesome, even though a lot of people knew.
And even if you knew, you didn't know, was he going to interfere in a match?
Right.
I mean, they're just going to drop this dude. And I mean, they don't always debut guys in the Rumble. I'm not saying they don't, but it's not a regular thing.
Right.
Well, I guess with NXT guys, kind of maybe. I guess
but that's different too.
This is dude coming from a new company.
Well, and they said on there, dude, they
blew
said,
my mind.
They said, and I know you couldn't hear this, but they go, he is a former IWGP World Champion, just like Brock Lesnar. And I'm like, wow, they actually said that on this. You didn't hear that every day. So awesome moment, man. Number 6. Yes. Number 5, not so much a moment, but just an achievement. 2001, Stone Cold Steve Austin wins his still record-setting 3rd Royal Rumble. Nick,
you got to give him credit, don't you? I mean, that's how big he is. We can all say, these are premeditated. It's the cat. You got to be big enough. You look down the Royal Rumble list. In my opinion, there's only a couple clunkers on there, maybe 3.
In my opinion, that sucked.
That have won this thing. The rest of them are freaking legends. And to me, there's not many people you can argue, maybe one bigger than Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this was a monumental win. He passes Hogan. He passes Michaels. And I think there's 6 behind him right now. Maybe 7. Does Edge have 2?
Yeah.
So I think there's 7 then behind him, and several of them are not going to beat Hogan's not winning one. Michaels is not winning one. Never put it past Triple H. I mean, he could insert himself back in and win a Rumble. I'm not going to say no. Highly doubt Batista. Highly doubt Cena would win another one. Randy Orton.
Possibly, but I wouldn't.
I don't think he needs it.
Yeah,
I highly doubt Edge will win another.
Right.
But maybe Roman.
That's Roman, maybe. Yeah, but that's quite the list of dudes that have 2 Royal Rumble wins, and this is the only guy with 3.
And you got to give it to him for that. I mean, that is an ultimate feat, man. That to say we're going to go with this guy this many freaking times, too, and just let him take, because this is a huge push for anybody.
Well, I think a lot of people thought he was going to win, so what they did here, he had cost Triple H a world title earlier in the night. Before Austin gets in the ring, Triple H attacks him, throws him into the production stuff, beats him, he's cut up, he's bleeding everywhere. What we just said, he does not get back in the ring before the next 2 minutes, and the guy comes out. He's just laying there, but finally he gets in the ring. So I think this Rumble only had 2 guys you thought were going to win, The Rock and Austin. And I think people thought it was going to be Austin. So they put some doubt in your mind by having him get his butt kicked before that. Okay, he might not win here. And then he did.
I didn't
blood all over him. Well, I didn't either. Especially once Rock went out, and then Kane was the final guy. 3 chair shots to Kane, clothesline over the top. Austin.
Ryan, nobody thought the B Undertaker was going to win this thing, man. Nobody thought that. And that's he is.
Does the B stand for the bogus Undertaker? What
the bogus Undertaker. Jeez, you put it the B Undertaker, bogus Undertaker.
Bogus.
He's all. How many did you ever calculate that up?
66 2/3%.
I didn't, how many times but it's like every other year. I could probably go look it up, but
he'll probably be Final 4 this year. I mean,
Dude, like him,
You watch.
him or the Big Show, like every other year, were the last guy in the ring. And then the one year against Roman, it was the two of them, wasn't it? I mean, like every year, and you're like, Kane's not going to win.
They're not going to win. This guy is not going to WrestleMania, the main
Right.
event, man. There's no way.
I am Kane.
Man.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, but yeah, Austin.
Austin,
only
hats
dude.
off. Awesome.
The only dude with 3. Hey, before we get into number 4, how about quickly, Nick, some honorable mentions here? Because like we said, man, there was a few that could easily be on this list, man.
I'm going to do them, and I'm going to say the reason why we didn't get them on the list, if that's all right.
Yeah.
1989, and this is, we were trying not to be biased, too. That's why we didn't put this one on. Just missing the cut, the closest to me. 1989, Hulk Hogan eliminates Randy Macho Man Savage.
Yeah.
This is, you're seeing it at this point. At this point, we're like, okay, this is WrestleMania. You know, it's coming. They've had too many bumps down this road. They did get back together. They got in the ring. Elizabeth settled it. They shook hands. But you knew it was coming. The reason why it didn't get into our top 10, because that's what I just said. You had seen this before. The egg was cracking. The Mega Power shell was cracking. And it was not the actual breakup of the Mega Powers, which will happen, I believe, the next month in February. Yeah. Hogan dumping Savage. And Jesse Ventura is just that freaking guy who points. He'd be the guy if you were walking up to a house and he's the girl's brother and you're taking her out on a date and you tripped walking up there. Pray to God he didn't see it, because he's going to bring it up as soon as you walk in the door. Hogan just eliminated the Macho Man. You know, he's just poking the bear, but he's right every time.
Yep. And how about Michaels going coast to coast first time?
That was it. Coast to coast, Ryan. I thought that it was really kind of cool in one aspect. Problem with this, though. It was the what Royal Rumble, Ryan?
The fastest, most furious Royal Rumble of all time.
It's 60 seconds, man. Or was it 30? I might have been 30, man. Like
it was
they're
quick.
Just firing dudes out. I think Michaels wins with a 38 something.
Yeah,
he wins
like
that.
Yeah.
And
it was 1 and 2, right? He threw the Bulldog out, who was number 2 to begin with.
Right. I think that probably was the coolest moment when you thought the Bulldog won.
Because 1 foot.
But the 1 foot, and that came back. But other than that, this Rumble, it didn't make it into our top 10 because the character, the time was just terrible, dropping it down to that. And then the cast. I mean, I wrote down what I could find. Lex Luger, who we're all in 95, he's done. I mean, he's going to be curtain jerking at this WrestleMania.
Yep.
In a tag team. Bob Backlund and the British Bulldog are your those two guys are not going to main event WrestleMania. Nope. It has to be Shawn Michaels, and that bumps it down. You got any you remember?
Yeah,
Ryan?
I got 2 quick, and I know you had this one too, and you had this on your list to begin with, and I don't want to downplay it. The end of 97, Austin gets thrown out by Brett, slips back into the ring, and then he ends up winning the thing, and that's what set the wheels in motion for the Brett heel turn, which he'd already, the whining Brett, everybody's against me, I'm getting screwed, the double turn. Awesome. Austin, the reason why I didn't put it on here, that whole show is not good, and this is only 6 months after Austin 316. He's obviously on the rise, but this is not a year from now Stone Cold yet, or even 6 months from then. He's still kind of creeping. And the other one I have just personally, and I know some other people like it, 2002, WCW's out of business. Mr. Perfect comes out. Massive pop for him. Everybody loved that dude. He comes out, and the dude makes it to the final 3. I mean, it was awesome.
And they boo when he goes out.
Absolutely. So there you go. Just a couple of the maybe next 5 that didn't quite make the cut, but they are awesome. If they're on your top 10, I'm not going to argue it. No doubt. Let's jump back into ours. Number 4, we head back to actually a bad time in wrestling, but this is a great moment right here. 1994, the tie. Brett and Luger over the top rope at the same exact time.
Could you tell who won?
Excellent question.
I could not.
The
I don't
camera
understand.
angles were perfect.
Perfect. That's, I think, what made, we had never seen this before. We weren't told, every year of the Royal Rumble rules before we start this. Well, what the hell happens if two dudes hit the floor at the first time? We didn't get that freaking rule. I mean, it was perfect. You couldn't do this again and get it that well done.
They actually did accidentally.
Oh, I
Somehow.
I take that back then. I guess on another one with maybe a Cena and Batista there.
But freak accident.
They did it perfect. It was fun to watch. And like you said, this is really a moment, too, for Brett. I mean, the fans really, you start to see, we don't want Luger.
Yep.
We want Brett.
This was Brett's coming out party.
And it really, I mean, it was, I remember kind of being slightly bummed at it when I saw, because I was like, I wanted a winner. Yeah. But as I rewatch, this is one as you rewatch it, it's really well done. It is really well done.
I have the same thing. I remember it watching this live, the Casio clock, brother. I hated it.
And I have half the brain that you do.
I didn't like it at all. I was like, what a tie. I mean, I thought it was kind of cool that it was close and the cameras were perfect and everything, but I didn't like it at all. But it's memorable. It is. Never seen anything like memorable. This. We're all sitting there going, they had just started the main event at WrestleMania the year before. So this is brand new. There is no In Your House yet. The next pay-per-view is WrestleMania. We're sitting there going, what are they going to do? And then obviously it turns into, Luger fights Yoko first and then Brett fights the winner at WrestleMania. Right. But the way they did this, and if you believe, they kind of did it to find out who the crowd wanted. Do they want Brett or do they want Luger? They said, and the winner is, they play Luger's music. There's obviously a pop. People are like, okay, yeah. No. The referees are fighting. They're fighting. No, I think he won. No, I think he won. A la Orndorff and Hogan in the cage at Saturday night's main event. Then, once again, the fink. And the winner is Brett's music plays. And there's a bigger pop. Yep. And Brett gets in the ring. The crowd starts chanting, Brett. They wanted Brett. And they made the right decision. They end up going with Brett here. It's funny, though, because when he finally announces that it's a tie, the crowd just was like, that's it, I'm out. And they just start leaving. Like, it's like dead silent. They weren't happy with it either. But it made sense.
And that the thing of a pay-per-view is to get you to watch the next night or in the next week and to keep the storylines going, is it not? I mean, when we look at, we don't always end happy. You didn't walk out of Empire Strikes Back happy right away. I don't remember but when you go back and watch it, it's the freaking best of that trilogy. You walked out, but it sets it up, man. But this one.
Yeah, that's a good point. This was the setup.
What are they going to do? Who main events WrestleMania?
It's Bret the Hitman Hart.
There you go, number 4. Number 3. More from the golden era, maybe the end of the golden era right here, at least for WWE's golden era. WWF at the time, as everybody likes to say. 1990, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, face to face.
Face to face wasn't supposed to happen. And I
didn't even mean it like that. Yeah, face to face. Yeah.
I did. And for anybody out there, I don't want to hear Ric Flair. I don't want to hear. These were the two biggest dudes in the industry at the time. These were the two behemoths. And we never thought we were going to see this Hogan and the Warrior because they're very similar, right?
They're friends, you would think.
Right, yeah. They hang out in the back locker rooms. They probably high-fived in a tag team match, which means you're friends. But when he drew that, Hulk Hogan's coming down. I remember watching that and kind of thinking, the Warrior's still in that ring. I mean, what's going to happen here? Like, they both can't win, but, something's going to happen. And then they get in there, and the clothesline to Dibiase is freaking awesome, sending him to the outside. The two of them end up clearing the ring.
Assume the controls.
And you got the Intercontinental Champion, probably the most dominant, and I don't mean the most wins or anything, but the biggest maybe Intercontinental Champion that they've had, or at least in a long time, versus the number one wrestler in the industry, face to face, the world champion,
Hulk Hogan.
crisscross. I mean, it gets a little cheesy. They both head into a double clothesline, but it starts the question: what if? What if these two collided?
Yeah.
Is this possible? You know? And I thought it was a special moment to me because I was torn. I don't know if anybody else was. I was huge fans of both these dudes.
Yes.
And to watch one of them lose or to cheer against one of them was going to be tough, man.
Dude, to me, the whole thing, I'm going to say this a couple of different times, but it is, to quote a man, it's perfect. I mean, it's absolutely perfect. When Warrior dumps Martel, Hogan standing behind him because he had just dumped a guy out, and you see him kind of bow up a little bit, and then he gets a look. Warrior's got his back to him. Warrior turns.
Oh, smell it, Warriors.
And the crowd just, oh my gosh, they come alive. And the looks on their faces, and Hogan throwing, turning, looking.
Hulk Hogan.
It's perfect the way they do that. Tony Schiavone may have the best night of his life here. What his calls here, hold on to your seats. This place is going to explode. No one is sitting down. Jesse is selling the ever-living crap out of this. This is just perfect. Now, you said it. It kind of gets crappy because they do the old double clothesline there. But these two dudes, you did not see faces beating each other up. Yeah, we saw Demolition do it at the first Rumble, but they had just turned from heel, and that's kind of their character, isn't it? We'll beat each other up.
Yeah.
Not these two guys. And the Warrior. Look at the IC champs. It was kind of a bad guy title. It was like the workman's title. Macho had it forever. Honky had it even longer than him. Valentine had it forever after that. It's kind of the bad guy title and whatnot. And a worker title. Warrior was more of this dominant Hulk Hogan style dude. He's also a superhero like Hulk Hogan. He's also impervious to pain like Hulk Hogan. He's a total different IC champ, like you said, than these other guys ever were. And they come together. And I wasn't thinking WrestleMania because they're good guys or whatever. You know, I wasn't thinking that then, but nowadays you would immediately, you know. Right. But just, man,
and
it was incredible. That first 20 seconds of when they turn and look.
And Ryan, we could say that it was cheesy with the double clothesline, but here's something to be said about that for everybody that's watching today. They didn't give the house away. We want to see this match.
Maybe
you know what?
That
little taste. Hell, if it wasn't enough for me back then.
Yep. And they tied. They tied. Double clothesline. Boom.
And they didn't have to go 60 minutes. I'm sorry, but it left me wanting more. I mean, it gets better to me almost, is every time you see it. It's just, I mean, it's so freaking cool.
This could be number one. This could be number one.
I bet you if you stopped watching wrestling before 2000, it is the number one probably maybe if you were an 80s guy, for a lot of those people, it might be. I mean, I think
a lot of people it is. I think
you could put it on a box. As like Royal Rumble moments, it could be the head thing on the box.
Yeah, no question. Let's jump way ahead for number 2. And speaking of superheroes, a lot of people say this guy is a superhero. It is Super Cena returning in 2008 at Madison Square Garden. Nick, you want to talk about shocking here. He comes back, number 30, wins the thing. Tore his pec right off the bone in October. Just clean off the bone. We don't know. I'm not a doctor here, but you're like, that's a 6 to 8 month injury. He's maybe most likely not even going to be at WrestleMania. No one thought he was even going to be at Mania. This took everybody by surprise because, like we said with Edge or whatever, like, maybe it'll hit the timetable right. Yeah, it's going to be close. And you're always looking for surprises. Not with this one. No one. Yeah, there's no chance. He's only 3 months out. His music hits, and Madison Square Garden, like the home of the most ruthless fans that there is, the smartest of the smarks. They hate John Cena. And remember, this is in the middle of, maybe at the peak of, get rid of this freaking guy. We are sick of this. Super Cena. He never loses. He won't put anybody over. The only people that like him are little kids, the chain gang. Screw this guy. We hate him. Get him out of here. 50-year-old men turned into the chain gang here. This place went freaking nuts. The big, bad, holy ground, all 21,000 of them, one of the biggest pops of all time. He ends up winning in just a truly shocking event. And me personally, I did not watch this. And we were following the results along, and I heard at about maybe midnight that he had won. And this is like Twitter was around, but I wasn't on Twitter or anything then. It was like pre-major social media. I hear that freaking Cena showed up. And I told my roommate, I was like, dude, you're not going to believe this. And he's like, do you want to get it? Now, mind you, the replay, remember replays? It shows till, and then
11, right?
The replay is already an hour deep.
Yeah.
And this is when you had to pay $59.99. We're like, yeah, let's get it. And we already knew the result. So we knew the result. We're only paying for half of the dang show because pay-per-views were only 3 hours back then. And we still did it. That's how big this was, dude.
That's how big John Cena is.
Massive. And yes, I don't want to hear anybody ever say anything bad about John Cena. This dude fights his butt off to come. This dude loves wrestling. And no, is he going to give you, AJ Styles type matches, Kenny Omega matches? No. But most of his matches are pretty good. I love that dude. It was amazing, man.
It is amazing, and he is amazing. And for a dude that sucks, a lot of people seem to have their best matches with the dude that sucks, and every story you hear about him. I was just listening to a story driving in Monsters in the Morning. These guys driving to school work or driving home. I think it must have been work because I was going in the morning. They were talking about, the passing of Bob Saget recently and things like that. And they were at an event, and these guys, Bob Saget, Tiger Woods, several other dudes were there. One dude was standing outside at this celebrity event signing autographs for free. One dude didn't leave even after the event was over, stayed there till he signed everybody's autograph in the line.
Carrot
and
Top?
His name, yeah. And his name, John Cena, man. This moment was so cool. And he deserved. Who comes back after 4 months, right? Seriously, the drive and the dedication to come back and do this and to shock us. I mean, this isn't Edge. This isn't AJ. As much as we talk and like those, there was that. Nobody. He probably walked through the door and Vince was like, what the hell is he doing here?
Well, and a couple other things just about on top of this. And this is not a good thing, but I believe this is where the pointing to the sign started. Unfortunately, a legacy you might not want. Then. But yes, those two, it's Triple H and Cena are the last two, and they stare each other down. Then they both start pointing in the middle of the match, and then they fight, and then Cena wins and points to the sign. The sign had been there for a few years, but they did not do the stop and point every 5 seconds. That started here. The other thing, there had been some number 30. You're always like, hey, who's 30? Some years they tell you who number 30 is. But this was really the year that became a thing, too. Who's 30? Could it be some kind of who the heck knows? This is really when that started with number 30.
And you can't take back the moment that place had, that moment in time. They went nuts. No one knew he was coming.
And that takes us to number one, and this may not be a shock. What is our number one moment? And we might be cheating a little bit here, Nick, because it's about a 70-minute moment. The entire, everything about it, 1992 Royal Rumble is the greatest moment in Royal Rumble history. Nick, there are so many points to hit on here. Just start firing away. Empty the clip, man.
Just going here. Hogan, Savage, Flair, Sid, Piper, Undertaker, British Bulldog, Jake Roberts, Big Boss Man, Sergeant Slaughter, Texas Tornado, Ted DiBiase, and the current record holder, Rick Martel.
And that jabroni Brian Blair.
Just to name a few are in this Rumble.
And how many of those dudes at the time were former world champions when that meant something?
Yes. Or at least IC. I mean, it gets going, and it starts out. Rowdy Roddy Piper is coming in hot off. I think this is your big first one, really, that you kind of get hot off an IC win. And they start talking about, could he be the first guy to win both belts in the same night? And it's Piper, man. So yeah, he could maybe do this.
Just the thought going in, though, Nick. Obviously, Flair's brand new. He was doing the whole real world champion thing. And this is the first time that there was ever any circumstance behind the Rumble. The Rumble was always just a match. Well, in this one, the 5th edition, it is for the world championship. The winner of this is the world champion because of the shenanigans that went down between Hogan and the Taker at Survivor Series and then at this Tuesday in Texas. Jack Tunney, that bogus Jack Tunney, strips the title, puts it on the line here because Hogan refused.
Right, Hogan refused. Remember, this wasn't planned.
No, Hogan
refused to job to The Undertaker.
Hogan had to get his title back at Tuesday in Texas.
But then they took the title off him, Ryan. Did he not want it at that point?
Wait a minute. So that ruins what I read online, that Hogan had to get his belt back. That
I know.
So that's not true? I got it. Yep.
Hold on. Let me pull one more. Let me pull one more of these facts out.
Where are you pulling that from?
Right there.
Oh, right down there, huh?
Yeah, right down there. But
anyway, yes. So this is for the world title. So just even going in, you're on the edge of your seat because the world title, the Rumble winner wins
before I mentioned Piper.
Championship. Yeah. Holy smokes! So going in before even anything happened. Oh man, this is awesome.
The final 6: Hogan, Sid, Piper, Martel, Savage, and Flair. I'm sorry, other than the one I mentioned earlier, you find me a final 6. And for anybody, I understand the Martel thing, but remember, he is the current record holder at this point in time.
Former AWA champ.
We're looking at people at that moment in time, almost other than Martel, he's not winning, but the other dudes could win this thing. They're all big enough.
The final 4, 3 of those guys are, I don't even know if it's arguable, top 5 dudes of all time. Macho, Flair, Hogan. I mean,
Piper has got to be top 10.
I think he's on my top 10.
He's got to be, right?
Yeah, he's on my top 10.
And yeah, if Hogan, Savage are in my 4, my Mount Rushmore. I mean, Flair, if he's not on your Mount Rushmore, he probably just misses it. This is a group of dudes, man. And Sid, this may have been, as big as he was at certain point. He was a big name at this point. Massive. They were pushing him as the major. Remember, he was supposed to be the major heel in the company before softball. But,
yeah, right. Well, he was supposed to get Hogan's spot. Yeah, allegedly after Hogan left at Mania.
Yeah.
Everything about this is just perfect. Flair coming in. I'm sure you've seen it. Flair comes in at number 3. He's supposed to be the real world champion coming over, has the big gold belt on WWF TV.
Awesome.
Nobody, I don't remember what the numbers were, but people like in the 20s had won this thing. Here he comes in number 3. So you're like, oh, Flair's not going to win. He goes the distance, wins this thing. An amazing promo then after the Rumble, which we had never seen before, like after pay-per-views. The match ends, maybe Hogan poses, and then the pay-per-view's over. No, they go to the back for the celebration. And I don't know why this is so good, but everybody still loves it to the point where the anniversary, we're taping this on the 20th, the anniversary was yesterday, Flair tweeted out, quote, "With a tear in my eye."
I'm going to tell you all, with a tear in my eye, This is the greatest moment in my life.
Mean Gene, and I don't know why this is cool either. I guess just because he made it seem like a real press conference. He's, all right, boys, and you can hear cameras clicking.
Dude, he yells at
put that cigarette out. Yeah. But I don't know why that's cool, but it's cool.
The other dudes were looking at him like, put it out. Like Mean Gene, like something's going, this is real back here.
Yes. And then obviously we love the line of Bobby was calling this, and we'll talk about that in a second. He comes back with perfect. He was the special consultant. I don't want to say we told you so. But we
told you so.
The whole thing. And then he puts over the WWF title as the best trophy in the sport, which, you know, made all sorts of Southern people and PWI magazine cry.
That had to sting. That had to, because that's your dude.
Yep.
That's your dude saying, this is the belt.
It was just perfect. Again, absolutely perfect. And then I know sometimes he can be too much. On a WrestleMania 8 show, I thought Bobby was a little too much, even though I love Bobby. He was way over the top here, and it was awesome. He should have been. This is, I think, Bobby's this is saying something because he's got a million crowning moments. I think this is Bobby's crowning moment in his entire career. He is perfect again this entire night because he's the special consultant to Ric Flair. And he's whining and crying the entire time because he's number 3.
Did he trademark the fair to Flair?
He should have. That's not fair to Flair. This is not fair to Flair. And, I mean, he's saying I'm talking like, well, first of all, he swears. When Flair comes out, he swears. You didn't hear that on WWF TV back then. No. And then, I mean, he is hanging on every move for 62 minutes. Every move, every punch, every backdrop, every time he's almost thrown over, Bobby's freaking out. He is hanging on, and he's still being funny while he's doing it. I mean, like with the fair to Flair, like you mentioned, Piper is beating him up, and then he stops and beats up somebody else. He goes, I never thought in my life that I would thank you, Roddy. I never thought I'd say that. It's a kilt, not a skirt. It's a kilt. And then 5 seconds later, he punches him, and he totally changes his mind. You skirt-wearing mother.
Hey, look at Roddy. He's giving it to both of them. Well, you no-good creep. You skirt-wearing freak.
It is perfect, man.
Every time the camera goes off Flair, Bobby's, where's Flair? Where's Flair?
Yeah.
Like,
how long's he been in there?
How long's he been in there? What's the time?
And he'd asked like 2 minutes ago, Bobby, it's 26 minutes. Bobby, it's 27 minutes.
This whole thing, though, and I asked Ryan, who's the bad guy at the end?
Well, I was going to say that too. Vince McMahon, because he didn't give us our Flair Hogan match that we wanted.
I guess that's true, but
we thought we were getting Flair Hogan here, but they set up the match nobody wanted. Sid Hogan.
That's what we got. Yep, Sid Hogan.
Hogan pulls him out, and the crowd turns on Hogan at the end.
Yes, they did for us. Yeah, I went back when I was watching that. That was a little weird for me. I mean, I guess maybe they were getting to that point where there maybe were some boos in the audience. I mean, people forget Hogan's been champ since what, 84?
Yeah.
I mean, or basically, you know. But
it was getting stale. People liked Sid. Sid had a cool factor to him. His look is
crazy.
His look may be top 1 all time. I mean, that dude looks like money.
He's a wrestler. He looks like a wrestler. Yeah.
He looks like a killer. Like he looks nuts, like you said.
Oh, it's live, pal.
And he screwed Sid. Sid was going to win that. Hogan, the sore loser, grabs his arm, pulls him out because Hogan, refused. They weren't setting up a match. That was Hogan going into business for himself. That's what I read that online.
This was just it's the best WrestleMania, best Royal Rumble ever.
It's not close. It's not. I know people like 2001, and it's fine and everything.
It's fine.
And maybe our age is showing, but if you were in that moment, you didn't know. You figured it was Hogan or Flair. You didn't know. And it's the first time ever. It's untouchable. It is 65 minutes or whatever it is of pure gold. Anything else on it, Nick?
No, I hope people enjoyed it. I hope people go back, relive these moments, check these. If you just watch the moments, great. Some of these Rumbles are worth the whole thing. I mean, the John Cena Royal Rumble's a good Rumble. The Edge Royal Rumble's a good Rumble. This 92 one, 91. Watch the whole freaking card.
Watch
folks.
the whole show. If you like storytelling, if you like matches, it might not be the best, but that Warrior Slaughter match is way underrated. You like storytelling, that's the Rumble for you. And if you haven't seen 92, my gosh, what's wrong with you? Stop this and go watch that right now. Nick, appreciate it as always. We are going to come,
for having me.
As we like to do, we will also come with the exact opposite. We will come with the 10 worst moments in Royal Rumble history as we lead up to next Saturday's Royal Rumble. So hopefully you can check that one out as well. Nick, as always, appreciate it. Everybody out there, as always, appreciate it. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and give us your thoughts. What do you think? Are we crazy? What are your top 10?
Did we miss something?
Yeah, did we miss something? Till next time, though.
Thank you.
See ya.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.